Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and it is Friday afternoon, which means that we are going to be doing one of our skills broadcasts. For those of you who are not regulars, let me just explain. We do 3 broadcasts a week, one at Friday lunchtime, one Friday evening, one Sunday afternoon, and they all have different areas of focus. So this one on a Friday lunchtime is called our skills broadcast, and today we're going to be discussing energy. And when I say energy, it's about your internal energy and what creates it. And, I actually put in the heading, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. It really does matter what you put into your mind if you want to get certain reactions out of your mind. And I'll be talking a little bit about that in a second. But just so that we have everybody on the same page, if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. That way you will be advised when we're about to do a broadcast, even if you've forgotten. So there's a subscribe button here. Please click on that. And also, please follow us on Facebook and Twitter, because that's where particularly on Facebook, we use that as a almost a notice board between the various viewers. So if we want to update about somebody's health condition, or somebody's had a loss in the family of some sort, or whatever, we would that's where we do it on Facebook. So if you like the idea of having an extended family, it's really a good idea to be part of that. And we all like to be part of an extended family. We all like to know that somebody cares about our life and what we're doing, but more particularly that we have people that will support us. We don't always have the perfect family that we might have wished for. Some of you do, but not everybody does. And so part of what we do here at DearMamaSal is to actually create that extended family for people. So welcome. Hi there, Jody. And so part of our discussion today is about how am I coping? I just want to grab a pen here. How am I coping with all that is going on in my life? And the reason I say that is because I'm pretty sure that not many of you, hi Charlotte, not many of you are dealing with the stress that I am under this week. This is October. And by the end of October, the deal on my house has to be completed, or it falls apart. And so we're now at the 25th. And there are, it's like a huge deal. You know what I mean? It's an awful lot of money. Now, if it does go through, which is questionable, I will then have 2 weeks to be gone from my house. Think about that. I would literally have to pack up my house and be out of here in 2 weeks. So how much stress is involved there? Got it? Now then, I also have a second possibility, which is the people who came to see my house on Monday are coming back to look again with the view of putting in an offer, and they're doing that tomorrow. Now, their offer has to beat this one. I have a clause in my contract with these people. We'll call these my number one buyers. I have a clause in my contract that says if somebody offers me a better deal than this number one, and I want to accept it, I have to advise the number one buyer and tell them they have 24 hours to match it, or release me from the contract, this contract. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So the offer that's coming in, hopefully tomorrow, needs to beat this offer. Now, do I think that at some level, the realtors know that? And it's really interesting because part of me goes, they are duty bound to keep my affairs confidential, but Yeah, you and I both know there's human nature in here. So I'm pretty sure that my realtors are busy talking to number 2 realtors saying, you better make sure that deal is above, blah, 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 otherwise, it's not going to beat the one she's already got. I don't know about you, but that's human nature, I think. So the reason I wanted to put this up is if you were dealing with a huge deal. It's the biggest business deal I've ever done in my life in terms of myself. If you were about to possibly lose it within the next 5 days, or if you realize that, you could have 2 weeks to get out of your home that you've spent 20 years in, how stressed would you be? And that is the question that I want to ask, because I wanted to talk to you about what am I doing to make sure that I stay as far as possible out of stress. Now, I say as far as possible. I did have one day this week where I literally slept for an hour and a half. And that was, obviously one day that my mind took over my reality, and it just didn't want to calm down and go to sleep. And after I forgave myself on that one, I let it do that and go, okay, if you want to worry yourself sick, that's your choice. But that's the only day you get. And because what I want you all to know is worrying myself sick about this is not going to change anything, right? It's not going to change anything worrying myself sick. What will change is the reality of whatever eventually happens. I'm hoping that you understand what I'm saying. I won't know, for example, until Saturday. On Saturday, if these people, the number 2 buyers, come in with a better offer than my first one, I will then need to make another decision, which is, do I accept the second one over the first one? And if it's a pretty clean offer, I will. Now, that could mean a completely different timetable and whatever, but there's no point worrying about it until I find out what the details are, because it might not even happen. Does that make sense to you? Why would I worry about something that might not even happen? And so why would I waste my energy draining myself for that? So I spent a lot of time this week making sure that I didn't have what I call a GIGO situation, garbage in, garbage out. If I am sitting and going, yeah, but what if, and then what if, and then, yeah, but then what if, da, 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 da. If I spend my day doing that, what is going to happen to my energy level? What is going to happen to my health? What is going to happen to my life? Hi, Jamie, and I hope you had a happy birthday. So what I want you to understand is I control what I put in my mind. All right? I control what I put in my mind. I control how much time certain ideas have room for. If you like, I am the check-in person at my hotel. And my hotel is my mind. So who do I want staying at my hotel? Do I want people that are constantly going, yeah, but da 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 da, yeah, but da 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 da. Now, I also understand, because I've lived a long time, that I want to listen to the earbuds in some ways, because quite often they are trying to warn me of something. Yes, but what are you going to do if you end up here or here and you haven't found a new place? Right? What are you going to do then? So part of me does need to think about that, because it's possible. And, what I need to do to let go of stress here is to say, if I need to, I will I will rent for a while, or I will do whatever I need to do so that this isn't a major issue. If I have to go into a hotel for a couple of weeks while I find somewhere to rent, that is also a possibility. Do you understand? So I've already been through that scenario. The other thing is the number of places available to buy is down to bare minimum. The market has been so bad that most of the inventory actually has been bought up, except my place. Most of the inventory has been bought up, which means any minute now, hopefully, the amount of properties available will increase. But let's say it doesn't happen for a year. Do I buy somewhere that I don't like for the sake of having somewhere to live? For the sake of being able to unpack and start again? Yeah, maybe I do. Maybe I downgrade what I want a little bit. I don't know. I won't know until I'm in that situation. Or do I buy myself that famous fifth wheel that I was talking about, or some sort of thing like that, just to hold me over for 6 months and then sell it again? So those are all things that, I really have got going on in my mind, but they're not preoccupying my mind. So what am I doing? All right. So what do you think I should do? For those of you who are on the line at the moment, what do you do when you have an absolute overwhelming amount of stress going on around your life? What do you do to calm yourself down? And it's important that you know, because what happens is when we're that stressed, about the last thing we want to do is to make time for ourselves. How many of you understand what I'm talking about on that? I need to be thinking about that. I can't be thinking about me. Well, hello, you are the check-in person on your hotel. So if you don't look after the people coming to visit your hotel in here, then you understand what is going to happen. Hi there, Beth. Beth is saying, sometimes my coping mechanism disappears completely. Then I make excuses why I can't cope. The hardest thing in life is to listen to yourself and avoid the trap of avoidance. Acceptance is the key. And Beth is saying, and I lost my key. Just for a little while, Beth. All right? This is not about perfection. This is about, Beth, in the same way as I've been thinking about you so much this week, because I put on weight this last week and I gave myself the okay. It's like, keep your blood sugar under control as best you can. But if you have to put on a couple of pounds on this one, so be it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to lose them again when I'm packing and moving. A lot of you know that I do artwork, and I'm pretty sure that you know that I knew that that's what I needed to do. I needed to make time to do more art. But the stupid thing was that it kept being the bottom part of my to-do list, and it wasn't getting done. And so yesterday, I actually said, you will start the day doing something creative. And I don't mean just, putting gloss on or something. You are going to throw some paint around and make a mess. Now, everything that was intellectually sound went against that, because why would I make a mess when I got people coming back on Saturday to have a look at my house again? It's extra stuff to clean up. But, I am the check-in person for my hotel, which is my mind. And I knew I needed to balance out my mind. I needed to do something creative. And so I did. And I made a big mess. But before I went to bed last night, I made sure that I had cleaned up most of the big mess in my kitchen. So I think that when you hold yourself accountable for your own state of mind. The other thing, I've got Beth's input. Anybody else, what do you do? Oh, Jody says she talks to her friends. Now, Jody, I agree with you. It's a really good idea. And to get that verbalization going, that you're scared. I thought a couple of times whether I was absolutely scared stupid, and I had to say that I wasn't scared stupid. I knew that I had a lot on my mind, which I do, but I wasn't scared stupid. I kept wanting to go there. I kept wanting to say, oh, I'm terrified of this. And then I checked in and went, is that the truth? No, I'm not terrified. I just can't be bothered to be terrified at the moment. Now, Jamie's bringing in a very good point. She's saying, I go into a separate room and I get on my knees and I pray. How many of you relate to that one? The way that you calm yourself down is to have that faith. And I think two ways of faith, Jamie. What do you pray for, if I may ask? Because I think it's really important in terms of GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. What do you pray for? Do you pray for God to take it all over and fix it? Or do you pray for the strength and the calmness to make wise decisions and be able to not stress out? You understand, one is asking God to fix everything, which I don't think is fair myself. So I try not to do that. What I try to do, yes, Jamie's saying she prays for strength and wisdom. And so what I do the same thing, Jamie. And the other thing that I do, have any of you ever heard of the Course in Miracles? I have the course packed up somewhere. And, it's a huge body of work, which basically is based on the Bible. But what I do is every day I have an affirmation that I put on, into my life from A Course in Miracles. And just to give you an idea, what's today's one? If I can find it here. Miracles are seen in light. Miracles are seen in light. So what does that mean? That means if I am in a dark place, I am not going to be able to see the miracles happen. How many of you know that miracles can happen here? These people can suddenly okay the deal anyway, or the second buyer can give me an offer, and all this stress goes, just becomes moving stress. Not money stress. Well, it'll still be money stress until I can get the money released. But, it's just like it changes the look of things. I had somebody write to me yesterday, somebody that I've known for a while, and they said, I'm going through a midlife crisis and I am learning so much and becoming wise. And I just wrote back and said, the day that life becomes more interesting is the day you realize that every day of your life is a learning moment. Every day of your life is a learning moment. Every day of your life, if you want to, you can look at it and go, oh, this has come into my life so I can find out how well, it's my little exam on how am I doing on my stress. One of the things that I keep track of, some of you know that, is how's my heart rate doing, my resting heart rate. Now, some of you may know that your resting heart rate is an indication of your general health. My resting heart rate is averaging about 60. I would think that's the average. Now, you're probably wondering, what was that high blip up there? That was Big Brother Drift came to visit. But you notice how quickly after he left, it went down again. And by the way, I'm sitting about here. And how many of you can understand that with the amount of stress that's going on in my life, that's pretty good at my age. Remembering I'm 72, to be able to have a resting heart rate. By the way, one of the other things I've done to balance my life out, because of what I want to do is get positive things going in, is I started winterizing plants. I've never done that before. I actually decided in the best case scenario, which plants would I like to take with me? Well, I sort of like the ones I had this year. So I've brought in all my outdoor plants and I've put them into, hold on one second. I just want to show you what I did. Hold on. Okay, sorry to go away from there, but I hadn't planned to actually talk to you about this, but it's come up. What I do is I take a gallon jug and I just cut it in half and turn the top half upside down. And I put a little hole in the bottom of the jug so that it can, and at the, oh, hang on a second, there's one more thing I need to show you. In this area here, I've got some coffee filter. So that will help draw up the water. And these are my some of my petunias that I had, and I only did this yesterday. So they're still going through the shock. I expect most of these leaves to die off in shock. If the question is, will new little ones appear? I don't know if you can see right there. Okay, can you see that right there? There's some new leaves coming out. Now, will they survive? Okay. But I've done it with all most of the plants that I had in my tubs this year. And, you know, it's amazing when you cut them right back. I mean, they were big. When you cut them right back, you know, you don't have that much to cope with. And then, for example, in here, I have got 4 plants, but does it make sense that as the winter goes on, I will, Yvonne's letting me have her gallon jugs, I will put each of those into its own gallon jug over the course of the winter so that it has more root space. And so by the time I get to spring, I will have good sized root systems on my petunias. The reason I did that is not because I'm necessarily that frugal, but it is using my hands. It's getting my hands dirty. It is about being creative, finding a creative way to do something. It is about saving money. You know what I mean? It comes in at so many different levels. But what I did it for was to just stop me stressing out and going, I like the plants I had this year. I think I'm going to try and hang on to them over the winter. By the way, I did my geraniums first, and they've been going for about a month, and they are all looking very healthy. You know, a whole lot of leaves died down immediately, and now they're starting to get that second set of leaves, and they're looking healthy. And that's a couple of them are flowering, so I guess they're pretty healthy. So does it make sense that what I do to look after me is really important? Now, some of you will know that it would be a really good idea for me to get out and walk. And that is also on my list before the really bad weather comes in. My goal for this week is to get out at least once and, you know, get some fresh air and take some music with me if necessary and get a good walk in, because any minute now I'm not going to be able to get outside because of the stress. What am I talking about? Because of the weather stress. So I wanted today to talk to you. Do you all understand this thing about GIGO? So I am busy praying for strength and wisdom, as Jamie says. I am busy every day putting affirmations in front of myself, positive thoughts. I am busy forgiving myself. That's another clue. I am busy making sure that every day I put something creative into my day to balance myself, however small. And so I am trying to make sure that I don't have a GIGO, a garbage in situation, because if I'm putting garbage in. Now, Jody, I started this off by talking to you about talking to your friends. What I was going to say to you all, if your friends give you energy, then that's a really good thing. All right. And if you've got friends that do not make decisions for you, really good thing. But if your friends are people who are going, well, I don't know how you're coping with that. It's amazing how people will turn that into their own stuff somehow. So be careful who you speak to, because again, it can be a GIGO situation. Does that make sense? So I had one of my viewers contact me yesterday about the fact that they wanted to do something, and they wanted to earn money online, and my first question was, what skills do you have to do that? Right? Because unless you know about yourself, don't go looking to sell what you have. Because if you don't know what you have to sell, it makes it difficult to get a job. However, what I also know is that person is really creative and really good with their hands and stuff. And, I said, I actually think there's a good idea if you speak to our Linda. For those of you who know one of our viewers, Linda, she is in the UK, and she actually makes her money, her extra pocket money, by buying and selling stuff on eBay. So, she buys it at a really good price and then, repurposes it or does whatever, and then resells it back on eBay for a profit. Really clever. Or she just sells stuff from her home. Now, I've never done that. And if any of you have, I admire you for it. But, she makes enough money that it supplements her income very nicely. I'm beginning to think I might end up doing that with my silver. I've got quite a bit of family silver here. And I'm going, if all else fails, I'm going to start, selling the family silver. All right. So what I want you to do is to do some quotes around how to manifest, if you like, the best possible outcomes. It has been said that the only time you fail is when you fall down and stay down. So Beth, in terms of you having had an oops week, I think it's really important. Are you going to stay in the oops, or are you going to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start all over again? Knowing you're already there. Hang on a second, let me read what you've said. The goal today is not to let my controlling friends drag me into their drama. Yay. Very good extra point to make. Yes, thank you, Beth. Sorry, not sorry. I will not allow them into my personal life. They feed on manipulation, so I choose not to engage. Yes. That is a GIGO. That is controlling the GIGO. You are controlling how much garbage you're going to put into your mind. And not to let your controlling friends. You see, the difference in you, Beth, is today you know what that looks like. Because of the work you've done on your emotional intelligence, you know what it looks like when you are being manipulated and controlled by others. And you have learned to be the check-in person at your own hotel. You might have let one baddie in, last week, and this is like, how much damage that one baddie did, right? But, that's being human. Just forgive yourself and get them out of your hotel in a hurry. But the thing is, control what goes into your mind. So do not spend your time talking to people who've got nothing but rumors about other people. People who want to manipulate you to do it their way. That's not what you need. I'm not saying give them up as friends. Just be aware that that's not what you need. What you need are people that trust you to make the right decision for yourself. Do not, you if you are in high emotional intelligence, you are not asking other people to make the decisions for you. All right. What you're saying is, help me just keep sane here. Am I right, Beth? I don't need you to fix it. I need you just to help me keep sane while I fix it. Because if I'm in a quiet place, I can fall down and have the strength to get back up again. But if I am constantly bombarded by negative people, no, I can't, because I don't know which one of these manipulators I need to listen to. You see, the best possible source of your decision is yourself with the right information. And what is the right information? I don't know what's the right information for you. One of the things that I've always said to myself as part of Dear Mama Sal is, when people ask for my input, I will give it, but I will also make sure that to remind them this is their decision to make, not mine. All right. If I make decisions for other people, now I can say to Jody, which I've done regularly, hey, Jody, I hear the situation and have you considered doing X, Y, and Z, or A, B, and C? That's called giving ideas. That's giving input. But I also know whatever Jody decides is the right decision for Jody at this time in her life, even if I would make a totally different decision. And, one of the things, Beth, that I see you doing, by the way, Beth, how is your daughter doing? I haven't heard anything about the operation, so I'm presuming all went well. I prefer to presume that all went well, so I hope so. I'm sending thoughts and prayers that way. Stephen Richards says, when you connect to the silence within you, that is when you can make sense of the disturbance going on around you. I'm going to repeat that. When you connect to the silence within you, that is when you can make sense of the disturbance around you. I think that's a beautiful quote. And Jody, if you could just write down when you connect for me, I would like to make sure that that is one of the ones I consider to be the quote for this broadcast, because I think that's the essence of what I am trying to, not I think, I know it's the essence of what I'm trying to say. If I can keep calm while all this stress is going on around me, I will make better decisions. Wow. Beth is saying that quote just made me cry. So Beth, I don't know why I knew that was a really important quote for somebody. So I'm glad that it touched home. I'm really proud of what you continue to do, Beth, to see what is going on. And isn't it amazing when you let the stress take over, then for you, you stop eating, and for me, I start eating. I always think of you when it happens, when I look at the scale and go, oh, I just put on a couple of pounds. And I don't know why, Beth, but you're always there on my shoulder going, yeah, and look at me, I just lost a few, when I didn't want to. And, it's like, okay, that's balance. I'm putting them on for Beth. And that's where I find the humor in it. And so I keep saying, Beth, I got a few for you. And Stephen Richards, again, said the true measure of success is how many times you bounce back from failure. Jody's feeding me back about the comment I was making about giving her options. She said, your advice has always broadened my options in my decision-making process, Sal. I have never felt judgment, just support. Well, then that makes me very happy. And I'm pretty certain that I can't be that perfect. There probably was a judgment in there somewhere, Jody. I love that you want to put me on that pedestal, but, I know myself quite well. I am definitely not that perfect. And again from Stephen Richards. I think maybe we put down his name, Jody, so maybe we'll do a whole series on him, because he has some nice things to say, which is the discontent and frustration that you feel is entirely of your own creation. How many of you are really beginning to understand that one now with the work we've been doing? The discontent and frustration that you feel is entirely your own creation. Let me give you some feedback on that. I know this sounds insane, but I have got a dirty great chunk of equity in my house. And my bank will not give me a loan against it because I'm retired and they don't perceive that I have the income I need to pay back a loan because I'm retired, regardless of how much money I'm about to make on my house. Now, you can say that's not fair, that's stupid, but you know something? That's the business they're in. The business they're in is to lend money to people who can afford to pay it back. I understand that. Okay. So does it seem insane to me that they wouldn't lend me the money? Yeah. But, I can understand why. I don't agree with it necessarily. But, the truth is, if I need to find some bridging money, all right, there are plenty of people that are going to be prepared to give me, I hope anyway, that's what I believe, to give me a short-term loan against the sale of my property. This property is going to sell. Of that, I have no doubt. And I will eventually get the money, in which case I just need something to hold me over if necessary. So, but, it's not the bank's fault. There's no point in getting angry with the bank. Some people, might say, well, why didn't you plan for this better? Well, I had no idea, and neither did anybody else, that my house was going to sit on the market for over 6 months. How many of you can see that one? That wasn't a mistake. That was unrealistic that it was going to happen, that the market was so bad. So I'm not beating up on myself. I'm not beating up on my realtors and saying they're useless or whatever. What I realized was the market just went against me. Now, is that fair? No, life isn't fair. It just is what it is. So part of the keeping myself in balance is just go, hey, it is what it is. And by the way, it's not only happening to my place, it's happening to the place that I might buy. So I'm not really losing out that much. How many of you can relate to this one? When you are joyful, when you say yes to life and have fun and project positivity all around you, you become a sun in the center of every constellation, and people will want to be near you. How many of you understand that I could really be doing a number, on how sad my life is? And I keep thinking how lucky I am to have this problem. How lucky I am to have that much equity stuck in my house that I can't get to at the moment. How lucky I am to have a house. How lucky I am to have a house that belongs mostly to me, a little bit to the bank, but mostly to me. How lucky I am to have this first world problem. And when I say first world problem, how many people in the world would love to have my problem? See, that's how I look at it. How many people in the world would love to have my home and have it in a position to be able to sell it? Beth is saying, how lucky I found this group of friends. Well, we feel the same about you, Beth. Well, no, I can't talk for everybody else. I'll let them talk for themselves. I personally am so glad you found us. Not only when you did, because I know that we did help, but I am so glad that you found us because I value your input every week. I always love your input. And you are the living epitome, if you like, of what we talk about, because I do see you constantly not allowing GIGO. I see you constantly not listening to the negative and just working on the positive. By the way, I'm delighted to see that your daughter is doing well. I just want to go back. I did see that somewhere here. What did you say? Huh. Okay, I guess it was further back than I thought. Why can't I find it? Anyway, it was good to hear that your daughter is doing well, that she's at home and doing well. For some reason, I can't find that quote right now. All right, so, we're sending a hug. Right, so Kerry is saying that she also feels so lucky to have found this extended family of people. And, I think the important thing that I keep trying to make sure that you all understand is, and I want to do it visually so that you can see, because I want you all to understand this. If we're all climbing the same mountain, okay? If we're all climbing the same mountain and we know that we struggle, and we're doing really well, and suddenly we have an oops moment. Beth, that was your oops moment, right? And this is where you regroup and build up strength, and then you start climbing the mountain again, and then you have an oops. And then, so it keeps going. Now, can you see that if we have different viewers at different levels, okay, which one is doing the least work? I don't think it's about that, because I think everybody's doing their work, all right? So the effort that, just get a change of pen here. The effort that this viewer is putting in is no less than the effort that this person is putting in. Does that make sense to you all? But everybody is climbing their section of the mountain. Now, it also doesn't mean that the person here has better ideas than the person here. This person can have just as many great ideas. They're just busy climbing this section of the mountain. Yes, Beth. Beth is saying everybody is in different stages, so it helps to see what others can overcome. How many of you get inspired by that? Wow, if Kerry can do it, then so can I. Or if Beth can do it, so can I. Or if Sal can do it, so can I, right? And that's what I want you to see. By the way, when you look at this mountain, it looks like, we'll call this Beth for now, but it looks like Beth's nearly at the top. But if you look at the big scheme of things, yeah, Beth could be sitting right here, and the mountain still continues. And on and on and on. And so this is about, we are busy, hopefully, if we are doing the job correctly, we are all busy lending a helping hand to the people at different levels. Would you agree with that? And let's actually say for a second that this is Sal, all right? Can you understand? I've got people who are, giving me a helping hand to the next level as well. And that is about, have you got the right people in your life to help you continue to grow? All right? Or And some of you know this story. I'm trying to find the right pen for this. Or have you got people in your famous lobster basket? Okay, this is your lobster basket. And the reason they don't have a lid on a lobster basket is because as one lobster tries to crawl its way out, the other lobsters climb on its back and drag them back down again. All right? And so have you got lobsters in your basket, or have you got mountaineers, who are busy leading the path for you to help you and give you a helping hand? If you've got lobster basket people, that's GIGO. You're in a basket with a lot of people trying to drag you back down to their level. That's not what the viewers here do. We refuse to be dragged back down, all right? We are on a path forward. I hope that makes sense, everyone. So this lobster basket is GIGO, garbage in. You're going to get garbage out. Your thinking is going to be garbage. We've all got lobster people in our lives, and some of them are our family. So it's not that you can't have any, but the ones that you get inspiration from are the ones that help you move forward. Yes, interesting. Beth is saying controlling people need to keep you down so they are above you. All right, I just want to stop for a second. I want to get something because I want to do an exercise. Hold on a sec. So it's all about, how you use your mind. I was saying, I don't know if any of you can relate to this one. I was saying to Yvonne that, it's really interesting what has happened during my life. I started out in Downton Abbey, or very close to it. And then I got to come to Canada, and I started to live very differently, but I still bought really good clothes. You know what I mean? It was nothing for me to buy a couple of suits every year that were worth $1,000. I mean, I don't mind telling you that. I love to buy my classy suits and clothes. And then, then I got, some of you will relate to this. Then I started, and then I started buying boutiques stuff rather than, the very high-end stuff. And then I started buying, and it sort of like my level of clothes cleared. And what I said this week was, it's really funny that I eventually found Walmart. And I make a regular habit of looking good in Walmart clothes. And then I said to Yvonne this week, you know that your life has been interesting when you're now buying clothes on Wish rather than at Walmart. Do any of you relate to that? But it's all about how you process that. Now, for example, I bought this purse on Wish this week. Okay, I think I paid about $10 for it. And smells like leather. Looks like leather. Probably isn't. Probably sprayed it just. But how many of you going, hey, Sal, that's a really nice purse? Okay. So how many of you know it's how I wear the purse that will make it look like it's worth $10 or $100? Right? If I wear it well, then this is where I had to laugh at myself, because I then saw this top And I thought that was really nice for the winter. Okay. And how many of you are going, yeah, that's really nice. And it's got a hoodie for if it suddenly rains or whatever. And I thought that was really nice. Also, you know, the only thing is I could have done with it a size bigger. And I have to keep reminding myself that, you know, the Wish stuff is made mostly for the Asian market, which their idea of sizes is very different from mine. But it's still, I can get into it. And then I like that one so much, I bought this one, which isn't quite the same quality as the other one. But I got this one as well. And I thought that's also a hoodie. Okay. How many of you are going, that's, you know, it's a really nice, so cozy top. Yeah. But, you know, this one is snug. And that's before I wash it. So how many of you, and this is what I want to do,